listening to FNR, Football Nation Radio. Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants. Ever wanted a career in football? From TV deals to player transfers, football is now a global multi-billion-dollar industry in need of qualified professionals who know the sport inside and out. Brought to you by the Global Institute of Sport, the Masters of Football business is delivered by experts from Australia and around the world. Learn online with unique access to networking and guest speaker events at the iconic MCG. Be one of the first Australians to get a football master's degree. Apply now to start in February 2022. Learn more at gis.sport/FNR. gis.sport/FNR.
You're listening to the State of Our Football Nation on FNR. Josh Parrish, we're back in the studio, and side by side, that is some change in the last couple of weeks. Welcome to State of Our Football Nation. My name is George Danikian. The one alongside me is the one and only Josh Parrish. We have a number of guests in the next hour. Tony Maglis, who I remember as a young boy when he was starring for Panhellenic and then Sydney Olympic in the grand old days of the NSL. And fittingly, Josh Parrish is wearing a magnificent T-shirt, which takes us way back. It's called Old Soccer. Actually, I'm the old soccer guy, mate. We should swap tops. A little bit later on, we're catching up with Spiro Pappas, who is the executive producer or one of the senior producers for what promises to be a groundbreaking television program on Facebook and also on the website of Football Australia tomorrow. It's a 3-hour extravaganza. 3 hours between 3 in the afternoon and 6, an opportunity to talk to just about some of the biggest names in the code, including Graham Arnold, people like Frank Farina, and an array of others, men and women. Heather Garriock, we'll be talking to Debbie Allegich, Joe Murray, people who have earned their stripes. In fact, the 3 women we've got tomorrow have notched up something like a lazy 319 caps for the Matildas. So
not bad.
We're going to throw some questions out. Then we'll find out. Look, it's not going to be, in my true sense, an expose, but what it will be is an opportunity to pay homage, to pay tribute to all those who have come before, and to also check what is happening in the game today and let those people who have a tremendous legacy, Gary Cole and others, to tell us what they think. I've got a old SBS colleague who's put his hand up. He's come straight back from India and he said, I'll do it. Andy Pascalides will join me tomorrow. It's a unique opportunity. On Facebook, watch us live. Come on in. Tell us what you think. And more importantly, let's keep it going. We want to get as many people on board. We want to share it right across the country, right across the globe. The subject matter is real, and it's about the game today. We actually have more people today invested, focused, following than we've ever had, despite what people are saying. Just look at the sheer numbers. And the other thing is that, looking at you, Josh, when I was your age, mate, there was probably one channel playing football, and that was it. And the rest were resisting any attempt to move to it. Today, we no longer have to worry what the big channels are doing, the so-called mainstream entities, because the truth of the matter is, you've got a device, you got an iPad, you got an iPhone, you got anything else, and it can reach into the world of football like never before. And as you know, you reach into places like Facebook, you reach into other sites, and FNR, of course. We have an array of programs and have done for the better part of nearly, 5 years when we're going to notch up this year?
Yeah.
5 years of going out, scratching every corner of the football world to tell stories, to showcase people, and to give people such as yourself an opportunity to learn the craft. You haven't done too badly, my friend.
Oh, well, thank you. We try and cover as much as we can.
Yeah.
If people aren't aware of all the programs we've got, on Mondays it's European football with Nick Debano. He loves Serie A and La Liga and Bundesliga. Yeah. On Tuesday nights, it's all Aussie stuff, but we divide it up into the men's at 6 p.m. and the women's at 7 with Oz Football Hour and Radio Dub, as we've dubbed it. And then Wednesdays, we've obviously got the Green Room.
The Green Room, which is
West United.
It's actually taken on an energy of its own.
It has. I think you get to know the players a little bit better outside of the pitch, and that's what we got a chance to do yesterday with Nick Milanovic and Jerry Skitardis and their kind of off-field friendship and rivalry and their roommates. They were
scary. Did you get an insight?
Yeah, we did. Unfortunately, we got more of an insight off air than we did on air because the banter that flies between them is fantastic. But they were a little bit more polished and professional when we flicked the recording on. But then after that, English football, the EPL show, and then here it's the big picture issues in the state of the game in Australia. So we try and cover the whole lot, but this morning it was Scottish football that caught my imagination, George.
Wow. You know, just before we started on air, I'm reminded of some fabulous promo pieces we do. They're called fillers, and they capture emotions, they capture time. They're like beautiful music. It can move you, and lift you and make you cry. And we begin with that horror moment in the MCG when Harry Kewell's great Socceroo squad and others, people like Mark Bosnich was in goal that night. We were leading with 20 minutes to go, and some serial pest decided to interrupt a major international and affected our chances like you can't believe. And you replay that moment and you listen to the voices that are no longer with us, Les Murray, the great Johnny Warren and others, and you can feel the despair and the despondency around that moment, and how many Australians who had been willing, those boys, especially in the opening half, to go all the way, and to have someone intrude like that. And then back to back, you get Simon Hill calling that gorgeous moment when a guy called Timmy Cahill scores a cracking goal against a team called Japan. And the rest is history. And suddenly, from the depths of despair, we're climbing this mountain, following this train all the way to the World Cup in Germany. They're the special fillers that move us. And one of our guests, is it going to be Tony first or is it Spiro? Which one have you got?
Well, we can do them both at the same time if you like, George.
Well, there's an opportunity to throw them up and get them on board because they might bounce off beautifully. Let's call them up. One is Tony Maglis. Tony, I remember, a fantastic young goalkeeper, brave, strong, played for Panhellenic when it was a powerhouse at Wentworth Park, had thousands, watching each and every Sunday. It was religion, man. you went to the church, but then you went to Wentworth Park, and then of course I think he was part of the move from Panhellenic to Sydney Olympic. So he's part of that era, that golden time in the old state leagues and the beginnings of the NSL, and remembers fondly some wonderful moments. And I can remember him starring on many an occasion at Wentworth Park, holding Apia at bay, upsetting St George, that used to love coming to Wentworth Park and upsetting Panhellenic. But on the days when Tony was on his game, that was a very difficult thing to do, to beat Tony Maglis. And if he's in the studio, let's call him up. Tony, welcome to FNR. Can you
Hello,
hear me?
George. How are you, mate?
I'm okay. Was I telling too many stories then?
Actually, let me just put this volume up again because
it's a little low, is it?
it's terrible. Anyway.
That's all right. We'll see if we can bump it up this end. And is Spiro there as well?
No, he's not.
He's
yeah,
not.
I'm here. I'm here.
Tony is there. Spiro is there as well, and Tony is there. We'll get them. See if we can get them both
Hey,
up.
George, and hey, Tony. Hi, Josh, as well.
There's Spiro.
Good evening, everyone.
Spiro is one of Tony. You'll love this. The guy who is leading the charge, trying to contain all the wild animals in the soccer studio tomorrow in Sydney, will be Spiro Pappas. Welcome to FNR, mate.
Thank you,
George.
I'm about to get on a plane and come to Sydney, of course, for tomorrow's main event. And I hear Andy Pascalidis is pumped. He's actually gone to the gym to make sure he's as fit as possible. That's quite shattering for me to think that he needs to go to the gym. What does that tell you, Spiro?
Yeah, well, look, I couldn't possibly comment, George, because he's a good mate. But what I will say is, just to your earlier
reminiscence
you made,
yep.
I didn't have grey hair 48 hours ago, but we're coping. We're getting the it's the as I'm learning, it's the creative process. I'm a retired banker and I'm learning.
Spiro, Tony Maglis will tell you, when I started in television in 1980, I had jet black hair. Look at me now. Look at me now.
Yeah, but at least you still got hair.
That's a good point.
That's
Tony.
a big plus.
Yeah, all right. Let's talk about this game and let's talk about this fantastic happening tomorrow. And I want to hear what Tony's thoughts are, and I want to hear what you're thinking, Spiro. As I touched on a moment ago, we have an enormous opportunity tomorrow, 3 hours, with an array of specialists, men and women, who've actually paid their dues and have been part of the game. And they're coming back. They're joining us in the studio, and we'll also be crossing to Graham Arnold, I think, via Zoom. And I want to hear how Graham feels. It seems to me that the world on Twitter and everywhere else is having a field day. But I'm reminded by a lot of people who are a lot smarter than me that, you know, in life we live this crazy world of ours, and it's never quite as bad as it sounds, and it's never quite as good as it appears. And I think somewhere there, that's where we live today. We've got challenges ahead of us. Ange Postecoglou had to go a rather circuitous route to get to the World Cup in Russia. He got there eventually, but we have this media that and this soccer Twitter that has the life, or takes on a life of its own. And sometimes it's a most wonderful beast, and at other times it reminds me of why we call fans fanatics. And that's the thing we've got to cope with. And hope tomorrow we'll be able to touch on all the corners and all the elements. I know from Tony Maglis's point of view, he's enormously frustrated with the game as it sits at the moment. And I've heard people say to me, and in fact, Josh and I spoke about this earlier today before we got on air, some of the things we see with the Matildas is enormously frustrating. But it's also understanding that we've got a coach that's come in who's foreign to this country, who, because of COVID, hasn't been able to land in the country long enough to actually see the game. And yet, we're very happy to just have a good free kick. And I'm thinking we need to hold on. We need to take a step back from the precipice. We haven't failed yet. And I want to reflect on the words that we've been hearing. It's not a disaster and it's not a tragedy. No one has died. Is that right, Spiro?
Absolutely, George. And I mean, I think, just, to your point, we've had 2 years of COVID pandemic. I think hopefully it puts a lot of things into perspective, given what's been going on. But just on your point on the Matildas coach, I mean, it wasn't that long ago where we're all praising him because we're in the playoff for an Olympic bronze medal. So I think it's just really important that people just, we beat the English team, which is a very fancy team. I lived many years, as you know, George, in England, and that is a very good team.
Unfortunately, you followed Chelsea, so that ended our relationship very quickly, Spiro.
Let's not go there. I know I'm on troubled ground there.
That's all right. But you're absolutely right. But it seems to me, and I say this to Tony as well, in this modern world of ours, we have this echo chamber, and social media can be a wonderful thing and allows you to cover so many different topics, but it also can be just the most toxic place if you allow it to get to you. And that's something that we've got to be fair and reasonable about. And unfortunately, Twitter is neither fair nor reasonable. Spiro?
Is that sorry?
Yep.
Just look. Yeah, it's not fair or reasonable. It's unfortunately, as you say, it's the world we live in. I've got, as you know, 2 grown-up daughters, and the way they think about the world and the way they communicate in the world through social media, with the quick grab, and I get very frustrated with a lot of the clickbait, broadcasting that happens, and reality TV, which is not really, it's manufactured. I think for me, I don't want to sound like a philosopher here, but it is all about the journey. If you think about the struggles from Rally Rasic and the miracle that the team of amateurs got us to the World Cup in 1974, and then the barren years for 32 years. Yeah. But during those barren years, there was a lot to celebrate. With some of the quality of the players that we had, and the journey and the struggle. And obviously, that in its own. I think we've just got to keep, to your point, perspective, and the Twitter rati will say what they say, but it's important for us to all to keep perspective.
Can I just hold on to that thought of yours for a moment and just let it spread very quickly? You touched on the journey and how important it is, and it was never more amply illustrated. Only the other day in the Australian Open, a guy called Rafa Nadal. Have you heard of him?
Absolutely.
Well, he came here and everyone said if he could win it in 3 or 4, but if it goes to 5 sets, he's got no chance. Well, after 5 hours and 30 odd minutes, there's a young man called Daniil Medvedev who's wondering what the hell happened. And there's a magnificent book that's been written about Rafa. And the author of that book tells you that what Rafa had said to him was, he doesn't so much care for the end result. He cares for every point. He plays every point, and he makes sure that he gives it his everything. And that's an extraordinary thing to consider, isn't it? How many players have the clear-mindedness to say, I want to be in just the moment, and I'm going to enjoy being in the moment.
Yeah.
And you see what he can get out of it.
Absolutely. I think that's, if you look at the elite, the top elite athletes, it's largely mental.
Yeah.
The guys, that's what gives them the edge. And clearly, he lost the first 2 sets and we all wrote him off. And he won the next 3 sets. And he's a guy who's basically had knee reconstruction on both knees. And, it's just incredible resilience. But what an
we won't mention COVID only about 2 months ago.
Yeah, indeed. But I had to smile when Leighton Hewitt, who, as we know, was a fierce competitor, said we've just witnessed the greatest competitor in the men's game ever.
Correct. Yeah.
I think that says it all.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm thinking tomorrow I want to hear from Rally Rasic. I want to hear from Graham Arnold. I want to hear from people like Gary Cole, who have been at the coalface, who've struggled, who've faced their demons, who've lost, and they've had to climb up again. And, we've got Les Scheinflug on. We've got where did you find them? You got Heather Garriock. You got Debbie Allegich, and it goes on and on and on.
Yeah. No, George, we've got.
In my bathroom.
Tony, you might just go on mute there.
Sorry, you were saying again?
So, no, I was just saying that, you mentioned, obviously, Paul Wade, Tony Henderson, obviously, and the incomparable Rally Rasic. But you also touched on the incredible lady, former Matildas. I hadn't realised, I was in preparation, George, I'm sure you know this, but the 3, so Heather Garriock, Guy Allegich, and Joe Murray, between them, they have represented Australia in internationals 319 times.
Just a lazy 300, eh?
It's just incredible. And again, this is before the women's game had really started to flourish. And so you're going to hear from it's from the source. It's real reality TV. It's not clickbait.
No.
So I encourage anybody who loves the game to really listen, because you're going to listen to people who were there in the tough years, who really helped lay the seeds and the foundations for the golden generation and what we're now experiencing with the Matildas and co-hosting the World Cup. It's quite an incredible journey. Now,
you're a corporate man. How did you get laced into this executive producer role for what promises to be an exciting event on Facebook and also the website of Football Australia, which is no mean feat? Very hard to get on the website if you're not part of Football Australia. So that's a goal that's been scored. It's called Australian Football Legacy, and it starts 3:00 tomorrow live till about 6:00. Is that correct?
That's right, George.
So how did you get lassoed in?
As you know, the great man, the legend that is Harry Michaels, can be very persuasive. And now, look, it's a pleasure to work with Harry, and it's such a privilege. I'm like you, George. I love the game, and it's very easy to take a pop at the game, but I think that there's so much good things happening that I wanted to sort of play my bit to sort of pay it forward.
Fantastic.
And when I was at NAB in a senior executive role, I was very involved with the sponsorship program that we had with Football Federation, or as they were called back then. Yeah. And it was I loved it. And so when Harry suggested I come on board, I just jumped at it. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Well, look, I look forward to catching up with you tomorrow. We've got 3 fabulous hours and a cast of what is literally glittering stars from not only Rally Rasic 50 years ago, but people up to today who are making an impact, who have got something to say. And Lord knows we need to draw a line in the sand and say, this is it. This is our legacy. Let's not be frightened. Let's not look over our shoulders and worry about the train. Let's create a program and let's get on board. We have to unite the game like never before. And here's a fantastic opportunity to start. Tomorrow is the countdown date. It's Facebook and also the website of Football Australia across the country. Check it out, 3:00 till 6:00. I'll see you tonight or tomorrow. All the best.
George, travel well and thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you, Spiro. Spiro Pappas, who's focused and ready to go. Now, we've got Tony Maglis, and I'll get Tony up now. Tony, you would have had a chance to hear some of the things we were talking about. You know some of the characters. You remember the golden deeds of those part-timers in 74. You know, we've got to tell people that they went to West Germany in 1974, and all of those guys had a job, and it wasn't football.
It's certainly right there. They were part-timers, but full-time passion.
That's right, full-time passion. Can you remember your first game at Wentworth Park in front of the mad, keen and super enthusiastic Panhellenic fans, especially when we played Hakoah or someone like that? Do you remember those early days?
How can you forget them? It's part of history, part of your life.
But Tony, tell me, do they still resonate for you? Does the hair on the back of your neck still stand up when you reflect and you guys reminisce when you get together?
Mate, all the time. Nothing has changed.
Except the hairline.
Nothing has changed. We often get together on a Wednesday or Saturday with a group of the old players and that, and we chat about the past and the past good days, because there were certainly no bad days for us. We enjoyed our football. We lived for football. You know, we were part-timers, but full-time lovers, as the saying goes.
That's the best sort of love. Tell me something. You remember the early days of SBS, and we saw the arrival of people like Les Murray and also Johnny Warren, and a host of others who came and pushed the game along like never before. What did you think of their contribution at the time? A
shame that we've lost both of those two guys. They propelled the game way ahead of what they should have been. You know, their passion, Johnny especially, was just how can you say it? You know, he was just an extraordinary person and said it from the heart.
He did.
You know,
he did.
You can't get better than that. You know, footballers are passionate people. We love the game. We breathe the game. We live and eat and whatever, you know.
How would you cope today? You'd have agents on your shoulder and they'd be saying, Tony, I can get you to play in Stuttgart. I can get you to play in England. I can get you to play in South Africa. I'd get you to play in Qatar. You know, it'd be a constant whirl of requests and, you know, hits on your phone book from people around the world. The game is global like never, ever before. We were talking to a number of the players, especially the younger ones now, and they're going to Sweden, they're going to Italy, they're going to places like the Eredivisie in Holland, and our women, our Matildas, they're playing everywhere, are they not?
Yeah, they were in Pune the other day.
Exactly. How would you cope if you had the full-time commitment that they have today and they're required to have? Because you worked and played, didn't you?
I think I would relish the opportunity to give it a go, because I think every footballer's dream was to hit the heights, you know, the top level.
Yep.
So I'd be no different from anyone else. It's the aspiration of the individual.
I'm just going back while you're talking. I'm reflecting on a young guy called Helmut Rademacher, and you had been. I think you were injured, and we had to play one of the visiting Czech sides. And Helmut they decided to throw Helmut Rademacher, who's the other goalkeeper, into the goals.
What a wonderful game!
And Tony will tell you, BOG, was he not?
Was he? What? I think the score was 1-0.
Correct.
If my memory was correct.
No, absolutely right.
And Helmut played out of his skin. He was a gentle giant. You know, he was a big man, but a lovely person, and a great goalkeeper.
And that day he was unpassable. They couldn't put it past him.
No, he was just unbelievable. We played Slovan Bratislava.
That's right, Slovan Bratislava. That's right.
That's it.
Yeah. Memories coming back.
Yeah.
Josh has got a question for you, Tony.
Tell me.
Tony, I'm looking at some of your photos here, and just gone through the Google image search, and you've got the beard, you've got the flowing locks. It's like George Best donning a goalkeeper kit.
No. Hey, those photos are older. When I first saw him, he was clean cut, super handsome young man, and damn it, he was the first choice keeper at Panhellenic, and I hated it. No, I loved it.
Josh, let me just fill you in. I had an understudy called George Danikian.
Oh, stop. No.
Who I was afraid of because he had heaps of talent. He should have gone all the way. Unfortunately, he had an injury, I think. George, is that right?
Shoulder went. They didn't fix shoulders in those days, Tony. I wonder why.
Sorry?
They didn't fix shoulders in those days.
They didn't fix anything in those days, my friend.
Do you remember
my knees look?
Now you're a Sydney boy,
testament.
Tony. You're a Sydney boy. Do you remember Reg Gasnier, who played for St George?
Certainly do.
Puff the Magic Dragon. Do you know?
Yes.
Puff's career came to a premature end, not because he couldn't play football, but because he did a cruciate.
Yes.
Today, they would fix him. How long would he be out today with a cruciate?
12 months tops?
Maybe
9?
Maybe. There you go. Yeah, but he'd have another 10 years to play.
I think Johnny Warren was actually one of the first players to come back from a cruciate.
Yeah, and it wasn't the modern one. It wasn't the modern version of how they do it.
No.
It was the original version, which was a very much more difficult operation, more invasive. And that's the other thing. We were the trial bunnies for all the youngsters today. So you can say thank you anytime you like.
Well, my question's on a similar line. Tony, how has the game changed? Because the other thing I notice about all of these photos is the forward players are just barreling into you as you playing the ball with their hands.
When you had the likes of Noddy Alston and Max Tolson, you came out with a few bruises at the end of the game. And St George had a strapping Scotsman called George Yardley.
Yep, George Yardley, huge player. Tough as teak. Tony, the other thing I wanted to get you to tell Josh is how different the football was and how it reacted.
Look, I think it was very technical in those days. We had good quality players like Roy Blitz, Jimmy Pearson,
Brian Smith,
Johnny Giacometti, Brian Smith. I can go through Johnny Warren and that. And it was a technical game. Sure, there was a few bad fouls, but if you looked at the quality of the player, they weren't robots. They were footballers. They played the game. They knew how to set up players and go on like that. But today's players are stereotyped. In my opinion, they lack that flair that the old players had. Sure, the game was slower, but the pitches were different. The ball was different. That was a big difference. I mean, George, you recall on a rainy day, that leather ball would be 5 kilos.
Correct.
Instead of
correct. You didn't go spiraling. No, you did. That didn't wobble. Sorry, it wobbled, but it didn't float like they do today.
And if you headed the ball in those days in the wet weather, you had the lace marks on your forehead.
Tell me something, John Karayanis.
Yes.
Now, Johnny could do anything with a football with his head, but he couldn't kick the ball. Is that right?
He was.
Is that fair?
Animated up
am I being fair?
100%.
The greatest 100%. Header of the ball you've ever seen, Josh.
Absolutely.
But could not kick the ball. Forget about kicking the ball.
No.
But if the ball came at any angle, he would somehow engineer himself. He would twist his body, and he would get on the end of it. And the crowds would go nuts. Go on.
The way he sort of floated up, it was like he was suspended in air, in the air, and just boom.
As Kira Kearney Cross was picked to play for the Matildas because of her great vertical leap. Well, if her leap is great, Johnny Karayanis would have beaten her and up. He was one of the few white men who could jump.
Well said.
Yeah, no, amazing times. So how do we change it? How do we get the so-called robotic and very structured play, and how do we give it adventure? How do we get them to think outside the square?
I think we need to coach the coaches first, George. This is where the issue is. Our kids of today are not as proficient on the ball as they were in the Kuhl eras, or even beforehand, in the 60s, 70s, where you had talent coming through. Our lads of today, I look at the Australian football inside and think, wow, I don't think they can trap a bag of cement, these guys. And if they get the ball, it's like a hot potato. They give it away. Other than Rogic and Moy, who are creative midfielders, the rest, sad to say, not a good position with that.
Do you remember Leo Baumgartner?
Do I what?
Fusash and a host of others of that era. They were some of the great European stars.
Absolutely.
Who come from Europe, a war-torn, troubled Europe. Yep. And they found, and one of the reasons why Australia got tossed out of the FIFA at the time, because we didn't pay transfer fees. So Jim Bayudi, who was the president of the Australian Soccer Federation, said, "No, we're not going to pay fee for any money. They can't touch us." Well, they did. They banned us from the game for a long time. You remember all of that? How magical was it to play against a Baumgartner and keep? You had to watch four different things at the same time, didn't you?
Absolutely. They call him the little professor.
He was all right.
Absolutely. With the dead ball, he was unbelievable. And even Johnny Giacometti learned a lot of tricks from Leo.
You know, I mentioned Johnny Giacometti's name, and Josh rolls his eyes and goes, "Seriously, there was a footballer called Giacometti?"
Yeah, and a brilliant one at that.
He was.
Getting back to the days of when FK, I think it was FK Austria who came here,
yes.
or Rapid Austria.
And Basel, remember FC Basel?
Certainly do.
Yeah. They came. They played a 2-2 draw at ES Marks Field against a Prague side that had Ron Lord in the goals, and wasn't he a fantastic goalkeeper?
Yeah.
You know, he's still with us. He's still with us, Tony. He's still with us. He's 90 plus.
Yeah, I know. I'm friends with him on Facebook. We often talk, and if you see the memorabilia that he has,
it's off the charts.
What a museum! Honestly. Yeah. Get onto him and have a look at some of the paperwork that he has, the newspaper clipping. You will be in awe. Yeah,
Australian goalkeeper in 56 Olympics. There you go. Yep. That's how special he was.
And Ron's about 95 and he's very active, very active. I'm very good friends with Jimmy Fraser as well.
Oh, another great guy.
We see each other.
I keep saying to people, the old goalkeepers are great stuff. Peter Blasby and all these guys, they still have a lot of life in them. And people sit there and say to me things like, "No, only wingers are worth their craft." Well, and I keep saying to the wingers, "Keep dreaming, boys."
I think you've been spending too much time with George Katsanis.
Yeah, G2.
There's another thing too. To be a goalkeeper, you got to be a little bit crazy as well.
Hey, I told you, you can come on, but you can't talk crazy stuff, all right?
No,
ask a question.
Tony, to get back to your point about sort of the players of today hot potatoing the ball and being, I guess, scared to keep it. Is that come down to the coaching of players maybe making them almost too disciplined and being obsessed with moving the ball on and ball speed? And I think we coach dribbling out of today's footballers, and it's only the real exceptions like your Marco Tilios, for example, who almost rebel against the coaching.
Yep, I agree. I think it's the coaching method that's causing the issue, and we need to get back to basics and start enjoying the game. I don't think these guys enjoy the game. You know,
you're telling me more beach football?
Yeah, well, whatever. I'm watching a Netflix program now. It's called Apache.
Right.
It's on the life of Carlos Tevez.
Ah, right. Yes.
So
the man with a third-party booking.
Sorry?
The man with a third-party booking. He had managers on managers looking after him, and all wanted to make money. All wanted to make money off him.
I suppose, you know, when you come from where he came from, to get out of that rut. You know, good luck to him. Whatever he earns.
Yep.
I don't have an issue there because the guy seems a wonderful human being, you know, and that's important. You know, like Ronaldo doing the right thing by people, you know, this is nice. And as long as you don't lose your grassroots, where you came from, and remember that's important. You know, some superstars, well, you can talk about them, and I'd rather not comment. But anyway, wouldn't be nice. But I love listening to stories about good deeds from footballers, and there are a lot of good people out there. In all my years involved in football, I haven't met a bad person yet. And
that's a big thing to say.
Grateful for that.
That's a huge thing to say. There's a young man at Manchester United at the moment who's in trouble. And it's almost we can't really say too much because it's before the courts, but the challenges there are we are living in times now when they have enormous endorsement deals, and we're seeing it in all manner of sports. There's a young woman that played Ash Barty the other day, and Nike had signed her up as a 16-year-old, and they'd thrown $100 million her way. Now that's very hard. It doesn't change your mind or doesn't change your scruples and the way you treat people. I mean, I think I'm with you. There are an awful lot of good people out there, and when the duds crop up, they stand out, unfortunately, and we'll keep hearing about them forever and a day. The same applied in television. There are tremendous people who've worked for years and years behind the scenes, tremendously gifted, hardworking and so on, and yet the criticism you hear is for the one or two duds who who do something and you go, oh my God, well, crazy stuff.
Let's hope these couple of duds don't spoil it for the rest of the nice people. That's
Let me take you back for a moment because Josh is getting excited watching some of those black and white photos. What was your highlight? What was the absolute highlight, the most exciting thing for you playing for Panhellenic?
Running out on the field.
For the game one?
No, every game.
Every game.
I'll tell you for why.
Go on.
They used to play the soundtrack from Never on Sunday.
That's right.
And as I speak to you, I'm getting goosebumps.
Yep. You're taking me back. You're taking me way back. Do you remember the times when they brought the sheets out, the bed sheets, and they would ask all the fans to drop a few notes in there?
Absolutely.
Was that your bonus? Was that your bonus money, Tony?
No. Look, if they gave me nothing, I would have played for nothing.
Yes, no.
The passion was high.
I know.
I was Greek in a Greek team.
Yeah.
And
do you remember your first game? You remember the first game?
I can't forget it.
Go on, tell me.
Okay,
take us back.
It was the 23rd of August, 1965, and we played. It was the last game of the competition, and I was a third grade goalkeeper. And Walter Tamandel said to me on Thursday night, he said,
"You're playing, Tony.
You're playing first grade." I literally died.
Yeah.
I thought, anyway, so we played Apia, and as you know, at that time we were in danger of being relegated. We had to win to survive because Polonia, who was also in that same points.
Yeah, they're in that bubble. Yeah.
And I think in the first half we were losing. Apia went to a 3-1 lead, and we thought we're done for. And somehow we came back and won 5-3.
Correct.
And survived. After that, we had the playoff with Polonia, where we played 2 or 3 games.
At the sports ground, was it?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And we won those games, and thankfully we survived, and Polonia got the chop.
Yeah.
But,
So to all those people who talk about relegation and promotion, how tough was it in those days? How tough was it to know that every game meant something?
Well, yeah, of course. As a player, no one wants to be relegated. No one. That'd be any player's worst nightmare, so it was hard. We struggled in a few seasons, but we never were close to relegation. We had, I think, one year where we lost, 12 points for crowd disturbance at...
What? Crowd disturbances at Wentworth Park? No.
No, not that one. The one at Drummoyne.
Oh, shh.
The Drummoyne one.
You promised me we weren't going to rake that up. Drummoyne.
Sorry, mate.
Dear.
You got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, this is true. Tony Maglis, can I just say what a thrill it's been to have you join us on FNR to talk about not only your memories, but how the game has shifted and changed, and just how important it was to play the game because you loved the game. And is that the sort of message you want to leave for the kids of today, whether they're playing for the Matildas or the Socceroos?
Absolutely.
You've got to love it, huh?
You've got to have that passion. If you haven't got that passion and you're just looking for the money, well, get out of the game. It's too beautiful.
Yeah. Bravo.
It's too beautiful a game. The Johnny Warrens and that who are real football lovers, the Les Murrays and previous guys, the Frank Arrocks.
Yep.
I don't think money was an issue for them.
No, and Rally
Rassage,
passion. Rally's 80 plus, and he still sounds like he's 40, and he could 100%. Coach us, and he could coach us tomorrow, and we'd all have to step up.
You would do it for nothing.
You're right.
You would do it for nothing because of the love of the game. This is how we were brought up, George. And I don't know about today's thinking, but they're professionals in their attitude, and they're chasing the dollar. Good luck to them, but like I said, it also takes away from the love of the game.
Yeah.
Where's the George Bests of today?
Ooh. You've left us with plenty to think about, Tony.
Well, it's been my pleasure, let me tell you. And
no.
I look forward to speaking to you again, and it's always nice to know that you've succeeded in life, because I followed you from SBS, and
oh my God,
I remember. Let me just tell you one thing: when you were on Channel 9,
and with Graham Kennedy.
No,
before the news,
when you were reading the news,
yes.
and the sports came up, and your co-commentator, I don't know who he was, I can't remember him. He said, "Now we go to the sports or whatever, blah blah blah." And soccer, and you turned around and said, "You mean football, the real football?" I think that got you into trouble.
Yeah, a lot of things got me into trouble at Channel 9 and again
but
at Channel 10.
I was so proud that you said that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the real football. And I said, yes.
Tony Maglis has been our guest on FNR, and we've loved having him on board. One of the stars, in the goalmouth for Panhellenic, and some great reminiscences, and a special message, and that is, whatever you do, you're playing in the Matildas, you're playing the Socceroos, just love the game. Thank you, Tony. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks you, George.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, another guest to join us.
Good on you, mate.
Thank you.
We are more than engineers. We are more than project managers. We are more than surveyors. We are more than infrastructure specialists. We are more than planners. So, who are we? We are problem solvers, providing the highest quality service and results. We are a team of skilled professionals, focused on customer needs and outcomes. We are 23 years of industry experience, adhering to the highest safety standards. We are Melbourne, and we are right across Victoria. We are the Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions. Lanco Group. We are more than you realise, and we are ready to partner with you.
Launch your global career in football business. Study a master's degree online with unique access to the MCG and a big-hitting Australian industry network. Brought to you by the Global Institute of Sport, who also have campuses at the iconic Wembley Stadium in London and Etihad Stadium in Manchester. Be one of the first Australians to get a football master's degree and join GIS's global network of football leaders. Apply now to start in February 2022. Learn more at gis.sport/FNR. That's gis.sport/FNR.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
You're listening to the State of Our Football Nation on FNR. George Danikian, Josh Parrish in the studio and Docklands, and joining us via Zoom from, is it Baldwin?
Baldwin FC, yeah.
There you go. The futsal coach, Melanie Rose Alasma. Welcome. Great to have you on board. I saw that you guys are looking for sponsors. Talk to us about futsal and how it is a fantastic sport that we're not paying enough dues to or giving enough credit for.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't think we do get enough mention in the mix there, but we are a small club, been around for a little while with two teams now. Our men's team have been champions in all of their efforts. They moved up into the Series Futsal League. So now we have two teams, the men's team and the women's team, playing in the highest league in Victoria. And, as you know, COVID took a toll on us all, as it did everyone, but not complaining. We're here to move on and move forward, but struggling to get the ball going with sponsorship. It's a costly sport. Sport is costly these days, which is unfortunate for some people, but we need to find the right people to, support us and help us get things going for our girls and our men's to, give them all the right opportunities to succeed.
Are we getting enough support from, say, Football Football Victoria and football across Australia? In other words, the Football Australia at national level, is it looking to support futsal in the manner that it should?
Well, I think in terms of the competitions, the national competition and the, Victorian Championship competitions, they support them enough. But really, there isn't a high league outside of Futsal Oz where we play series futsal. I don't think that there's no, league from Football Victoria or Football Australia that is not privatised. So it is a privatised league, which I guess explains the lack of support from Football Victoria. It's a shame that we haven't had a league from the authorities there, but it's privatised. So we do look to find our own sponsors, which has been a bit of a trouble. Everyone is, not in the best monetary position. Yep. For us, it's a costly sport to, just to pay the game fees each week is $150. To hire a court for our girls to train, it's $80, $85 a court.
And that mounts up over a season.
It adds up, 100%. We've got, across both teams, we need 30 kits. Each kit, $40 to $45 a kit. So it's costly. We're doing our best as a group of us to try and keep us going. But there are a lot of teams within our league that have just thrown it up that we can't do it. We don't have the money. We can't support it. And it's a shame they're not continuing to play anymore.
I just wanted to ask Melanie about Futsal Oz as separate from, the Football Victoria, because it's a curious situation in futsal with the kind of schism between the officially sanctioned leagues, which arguably aren't as of a high quality as the privatised leagues. And Futsal Oz has sort of built up its almost own separate set of players and separate culture to, I guess, fill the void that's been left by the governing bodies in a historically neglected form of the sport. Could you tell us a little bit more about what Futsal Oz is and the league you actually play in?
So I actually started off playing football at Futsal Oz. That was where we all first started, my brothers and I. And honestly, since I've been there since we were younger, it has just become on a bigger scale. If you go down on Wednesdays or Fridays to watch the Women's League or the Men's Series League, it's almost like it's such a professional atmosphere, broadcasted. You've got 2 referees a game. It's really, really high quality. And I think to give not only girls and boys, young girls and boys, but athletes of all ages, the ability to play on a professional standard outside of outdoor soccer, I think it's really good. They've really done a good job at, ensuring that it is as similar to playing outdoor as possible. You don't feel like we're playing B-Tech football. We are still playing high quality football. The girls that we're versed, the men that we're versed, it's all professional. It's a shame that it doesn't get that recognition though. So if I say to someone, I'm playing series futsal, what's series futsal? No one knows. I've had to, explain to people it's the top futsal league that we can play in Victoria. There's no I'm playing NPL. That's self-explanatory. But yes, I'm playing series futsal. What's that? You know what I mean? It's a bit under the radar, which is a shame.
Josh and I are huge lovers and supporters of a guy called Marco Tilio, and he, up until 14, played futsal. And he is the sensation that he is because of, I think, all the stuff that he was doing. And you watch it in his balance. He has low centre of gravity, very hard, even though he's small, very hard to move him when he's got that ball. And no backlift when he hits it. It just flies.
Yeah.
So we know that futsal has a lot to offer. We've just got to get people involved and invested enough to become sponsors. So if they want to reach out and sponsor you at Baldwin, right? How do we go about it, Melanie Rose?
You can get in contact with me on my personal number, which is 0487 444 444.
Say it again.
I'm doing the proper radio.
Correct. That's it. Correct. Yep.
You can reach me on 0487 444 444. And we'd definitely love to have you on board. We've got a beautiful culture at our club, a lot of support. No one gets left behind. It's a real family vibe at Baldwin, and anyone, with similar values, we'd love to have you on board our team and welcome you to our family. It'd mean a lot to us if we could get some.
I'll tell you what we do. We haven't had a chance to give you enough time, but we'll get you in the studio over the next few weeks, get you to come in and talk about futsal and get some more people involved. Okay?
Fantastic. Sounds good.
Melanie Rose,
thanks for having me, George. Thanks,
our absolute pleasure. Good luck with all the team at Baldwin, and we want to catch up and talk some more over the next few weeks.
Definitely. We'll be in touch. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Melanie Rose, just telling us about something that she's fallen in love with and has, I think, enormous value.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we can make a day, a futsal day. We've done so many events over the last 4 or 5 years. Is it worthwhile pursuing? Can we get a special day, a futsal day?
I think that would be a fantastic initiative for us to pursue. I mean, already some of the games are streamed, which is a great thing that's amazing. Series Futsal does, and Futsal Oz. So they've got commentators. The highlights are fantastic. The energy is a bit different. I think on the commentary, it's a little bit more.
Is it like BBL?
Yeah, it's a little bit more like basketball commentary or something.
Oh, wow.
Everyone goes nuts and everything, and it's end to end. It's really exciting. It's a little bit.
You're Baldwin 11.
Well, it's definitely the hype culture. I think is a bit different. It's fun, and it's a high level as well. I think we need to break down this perception of futsal as something that you do in the off season with a few mates, and you turn up 5 minutes before kickoff and hammer out a game. It's not just a social activity. It's also something where teams have training sessions and proper tactics. And I would love to see the game better supported. And I know there've been some initiatives from Football Victoria recently to try and unite the game and bring everything under the state umbrella, but also you don't want to increase the cost as a result. So it's a delicate situation because I think the futsal community who are specifically into that form of the game are reticent to jump into a bed with federations who've ignored them and underfunded them in the past. So it's a hard bridge to gap. So it's a really interesting situation. And if we could unite the game better, I think it's an amazing tool for developing players, but also it's a fantastic sport in its own right. And you mentioned Tilio. I mean, it's not just the men either. We were talking to Rihanna Pollicina on Radio Dub earlier this season from Melbourne City, and she actually stepped away from the outdoor game for a few years. She broke through Western Sydney Wanderers and made her first appearance in the A-League Women, or the W League as it was then known, as a 15, 16-year-old. But then she fell out of favour and she was playing NPL, but she was mainly making strides in futsal and ended up representing Australia before she came back to the outdoor game. And I think you can see the skill that she has, the power that she gets on her shooting, the velocity which she can launch these passes into feet, and her touch is it comes from that form of the game. So I think it's important that we embrace it.
Look, I think it's a tremendous opportunity. Let's pursue it. That's what FNR, another one of the things that FNR was built on, and created for.
We'll have to do Futsal Nation Radio, George.
Hey, why not? All right. Catch you next week. Got a very big day tomorrow. If you want to join us, please do. We go live on Facebook and the Football Australia website between 3 and 6. Look it up. It's Australian Football Legacy. That's the branding and the title for the program. And we're going live. You're listening to the State of Our Football Nation on FNR.
Your global career in football business. Study a master's degree online with unique access to the MCG and a big hitting Australian industry network. Brought to you by the Global Institute of Sport, who also have campuses at the iconic Wembley Stadium in London and Etihad Stadium in Manchester. Be one of the first Australians to get a football master's degree and join GIS's global network of football leaders. Apply now to start in February 2022. Learn more at gis.sport/FNR. That's gis.sport/FNR. Ever wanted a career in football? From TV deals to player transfers, football is now a global multi-billion-dollar industry in need of qualified professionals who know the sport